Welcome to the latest episode of Making Sense.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Making Sense. We're on episode 2. This is Teresa.
Erica.
And this is Keelan.
And we are so excited to be back. We're in the new year, new you. Last time we talked about resolutions. But before we get into talking about habits today, I want to introduce some pretty awesome people.
Yes.
They are so great. We've got Chris and Allie Top from the Chris Top program here with us today. How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Why do you have to do that on somebody else's show? What is wrong with you? It's not even our show. You're busting everybody's eardrum. Somebody's going to call the cops. Somebody's going to call the police. Just like before.
Call the police. I'm here for it.
I'm loving it.
So I guess the authorities are being called. Oh, no, they're so great. So yeah, we want to kind of just give a little interview, a little shout out to them.
Yes.
Chris right now is recording our program. I'm engineering it for us.
Yes.
So just if you guys want to give us kind of an idea of how you started.
Oh, gosh. Back in my early 20s, I did some terrestrial radio, and I've done that off and on throughout my whole life, but that's not something that I ever really stuck with just because I kind of like doing things my own way. And when technology came around and I was able to do a podcast from my garage, then that was kind of a game changer for me. Then I could create my own platform and I could do everything my own way and just and I was happier doing that. I didn't have somebody telling me what to do or saying, okay, after these 3 songs, you say this and then play the next song. Right. This way I can do something great, and if I fail, then it's my fault, and if I succeed, then it's my fault. And it's kind of cool.
I like that, like being your own boss.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I'm all here for that.
Yeah, and when you do stuff like that, you get so creative in finding ways to really be successful, and it all kind of comes down to whatever your definition of success is. And for me, it's just being able to do it and make enough to pay the bills and just have fun. And I don't ever feel like I'm working anymore, which is really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
Yeah.
I wish.
That's what I like. What would you, so like Teresa said, you're engineering our podcast for us. What do you offer for people, like if somebody else wants to start their own podcast?
I would recommend anybody that has a business, whether it's small or large, to do something like this just because it gives your customer, and I'll use like a dentist as an example. So say a dentist starts a podcast, he does it or she does it once a week, say a 10 or 15-minute podcast, then their customers can go there and get to know them and develop a relationship right off their website. Because so many, how often do you get a chance to sit down and have a cup of coffee with your dentist?
Never.
Or your doctor, so they can sit there and they can answer questions and talk about some common things like how often should you floss your teeth or whatever they want to talk about that day. So I think it's a really great idea for any business to have some kind of a podcast, whether it's once a week or once a month, and it could be 10 minutes or 30 minutes or just however long you want to do it. And the way things are changing, people can really get to know you while they're driving in their car or while they're at the gym working out or going hiking or whatever it is they do. They can really get to know you just by subscribing to your podcast.
I like that.
Boom.
Have one more.
Bam.
Bing?
But and I love you guys and I almost hate taking money from you for doing this.
Well, but we are paying you for your awesome services, engineering. You're letting us use your equipment,
and I tell you, I'm having fun doing it too.
I know we are
it's
too.
just like wow, this is great. But I'm so passionate about it. I don't want to charge anybody an arm and a leg for it or anything like that. I like helping people.
Yeah. I mean, this is super cheap. I mean,
and it's fun. It's
for
just
this
fun.
expensive equipment, let me not touch anything.
It's just fun for me, and I don't know. I just like doing it.
Yeah, I look forward to Sundays now because it's like, what a party.
Yes, party animals.
So my question to both of you would be, if someone wants to start a podcast, is there a particular personality a person needs to have?
Nope.
Don't be boring, yo. Don't be like, hi, my name is Tom. I'm a
What was it Erica was showing me last night? I thought that just
ASMR.
bored me out of my mind, but it was like popular.
Yeah, ASMR is so popular.
I love ASMR,
But that's,
girl.
to me, that's boring. So, I mean, I don't think it
you
matters
fall-
what
no,
kind of personality you
It's
have.
supposed to be boring, though. You fall asleep to
That's
it.
what I
What
do.
if somebody started a podcast that's supposed to be boring? It could be successful. You just never know.
But
Literally.
if you're, yeah, for that. But like, if you're trying to get your business out there, you're not trying to be like,
Well, no, that's different. Yeah, but I think if you love what you're doing and you have something you're passionate about talking about, it doesn't matter what you sound like, and it doesn't matter really anything as long as you're happy doing it.
Right.
And it's not that hard to get into unless you're going to have a bunch of guests on the show, or if you're going to have multiple hosts on the show. You could probably get a podcast started for, I don't know, $50. You know, headphones, a microphone, and then you subscribe to Spreaker, and then you're good to go. It's really not difficult. You can even use your phone to do podcasts. It's so easy.
We've learned so much from you, just like
Yeah.
so
you and you
much.
talking to us about Spreaker.
Sure.
I know that you talked a little bit about like your passion. So for your podcast, what are your guys' passions? What do you guys talk about?
For years we were doing the independent artist interviews. We've made so many friends out of Nashville, just up and coming independent artists, and all of their stories are so inspirational. And I think that's kind of what kept me going. It motivated me because when you hear a story about somebody that packs up everything they have, they move from 2,000 miles away, they go to Nashville. It's the hardest place in the world to make it in country music, and they've got everything they own in the back of their trunk. And just the balls that they have to do something like that is a pretty big deal. And then when they can come to Nashville and at least survive for a year, that's inspiration. And I think that's what kept us going down that road so long, is just because the stories were so cool. And I think we did like over 500 interviews with independent
And
artists.
I liked it. I liked it because I got to entertain people. Like that was my motivation. Was I just like to entertain people.
And we had the red carpet interviews that we did at the CMA Fest were so much fun.
We need to be on the red carpet.
Yeah, it was so much fun. But I look back at that now, and I wouldn't change it for nothing. But the only downside to that is after you do so many of those interviews, it tends to feel mechanical, and you don't get to be creative anymore. So what we decided to do was to sort of let our creativeness out and go in a totally different direction.
Yes, we did.
Our shows now are all scripted, which is new for me. So I'm still learning how to do that and how to deliver that correctly. And I'm getting better every podcast for sure.
I like it though because I get to use my main passion. Like how you're so, in love with radio.
Mm-hmm.
I love radio too, but I'm more in love with the writing and stuff. So I get to write about some crazy stuff and put it out there and bring it to life.
Yeah.
Like something that came out of my head, and I was like, serial killers.
There's some
dark
crazy
web.
things that come out of your head.
We listened to the beginning.
But and so the
That
Chris Top
reaction is a
program.
compliment, so.
The Chris Top program is not really just the Chris Top program anymore. It's actually 3 different podcasts. We have Rideshare Stories, which are all true stories that are based on people that ride with me when I Uber and Lyft them around Clarksville. And these are all local people. Well, they don't have to be local. As long as I pick them up in Clarksville, I'll talk about them. And then we do the WTF. It's called What the Fact.
What the fact?
Yeah, and that started because one of my buddies wouldn't stop reading facts to me one night when I was trying to sleep because we were doing a catering event. I was like, dude, shut up. And he kept going.
An ASMR voice.
Yeah, and he kept going, and then I kind of got addicted to it, and I didn't want to go to sleep. I wanted to listen. So I thought, man, that'd make a good podcast. So I thought we'd try that.
I like that.
And the one that we're probably the most proud of, and I thought I would save this one for last. Allie, you want to talk about it?
Yes.
Okay, hold up. It's No Name the Dark Web Serial Killer. So if you like anything remotely horror, thriller, sci-fi, crime drama, all that's in there. And it's about this guy that has no legal identity, and he's hired to kill somebody who more or less stole from this, crime boss, deep web guy that's crazy and everything. And now he's living a life where he's killing people all the time, and he loves it because he's killed before, but now he has he's not homeless anymore. He has a purpose or whatever. So it's him navigating through this weird, interesting position that he's been put in.
I love that.
And it's cool because and I bring all this stuff up, and it's not monetized basically, or just based on plays or downloads. You know, the rideshare stories we monetize through sponsors because we have people that believe enough in what we do that, you know, they let us put their advertisements on the outside of the car. I drive around while I'm picking people up. I tell stories about these people. I give them shout outs when I do the social posts. They get advertising when I drive around. People, when somebody sits in the back seat, they see a sign. So they get a lot of bang for their buck, plus they're sponsoring the podcast, which is cool. The WTF has probably gotten the most plays so far, but I haven't really monetized that out on the outside yet. And then as far as like No Name goes, that's monetized in a way where we're going to be able to sell the artwork because we have a different cover art for each episode, which is cool. We're going to sell prints, autographed prints, and we're even coming up with ideas to sell like different hand sanitizers and different things that kind of go with the show when we set up to do live events and things like that with like really cool names.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I can't even remember some of the names, but like No Name has a cleanup crew after he does a job. And then the hand sanitizer, like one of the things that's going to go with that, if it's good enough for No Name's cleanup crew, it's good enough for you. You know? Right? So it's going to be really fun stuff, I think, to kind of help monetize it aside from just downloads and stuff like that. Because you have to be creative, especially when you just get started because, you know, what are you going to have, 5 listeners? So
probably,
yeah. So you know,
get, like, more voice
in a year,
actors and stuff, that'll help us too.
yeah, the voice actors, because when people are on the show and you have guests on the show and you kill them off or whatever, hey, I was on No Name and I got killed, you know. So you got to listen to episode number 4, you know, because it's cool. Right. So, but anyway, that's just some extra insight too, because you don't have to do this for fun first and foremost, but it's not just about downloads. You know, if you're having a great time, you don't feel like you're working, just keep doing it. It doesn't matter if you have 2 listeners. But you can figure out ways you can be really, really creative on how to make money doing it as well.
I like that. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being on here and talking to us
I'm
about
so excited.
the Chris Top program. Really, if you like serial killers, listen to No Name. It was. We were listening. We were like, "Whoa!"
This is intense.
But yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah.
It was a good way. It was because we like murder mystery.
Let me know when you guys are ready to die on the show. We can make it happen.
Oh,
yeah, I'm like,
please.
I'm alone.
We'll be guys.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys again so much. That's Chris and Allie Top from the Chris Top program.
Yes.
Woo. So awesome. So like I said before, we have started our podcast series, Making Sense. Last week we did episode 1. We talked about New Year, New You. We discussed some resolutions, how to get those resolutions started. And so this week we're going to be talking about habits.
Yes.
So of course,
so important.
We know we start resolutions. We're like, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to get healthy, or I'm going to save money. And then
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no. And then I ask you for something. You got to say yes.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
So we're talking about setting those habits and how to get into those habits so that way you can accomplish those resolutions that you set for yourself and those goals that you set for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is I mean, obviously we all have bad habits and we all have good habits. So I think it's really important to delve into what makes a bad habit so you can try to avoid it, but then also what makes a good habit and how do you form good habits.
Okay.
Teresa, what's a bad habit that you have? Let's be transparent about this. What is a bad habit that you have?
Bad habit that I have. I would say that I get easily frustrated.
Yes.
So, like,
Okay.
if something's, like, not working, like I was setting up our website,
We agree with you.
and I got on call services, and I was like, just fix it. So it was, you know, I think I get easily frustrated and snacking a lot, too. When I'm frustrated,
Oh,
yeah.
What about you, Erica?
That. I think my worst habit, well, one of them would probably be I get stressed out over small things and I catastrophize like everything. Like one minor thing could happen to me and I imagine this is like the end of the world for me. And then food wise, definitely chili cheese fries from Sonic because they bring me so much joy. Y'all are looking like, ew, that's disgusting. Have you had Sonic chili cheese fries?
I mean,
because
yeah,
they
but-
are fire.
Sorry.
I think
I'm gonna have to give them up though. Like I'm trying to be healthy. You know,
okay,
I'm
you
like,
got this.
let me give up chili cheese fries.
for me a bad habit is, I mean, there are small things like I get frustrated too, but my frustration is different from Teresa's frustration or Erica's frustration. Mine is I get mad. And y'all know me for years, so y'all know I have